and welcome to the Power Gamer Podcast. I'm your host, Mike Dawson, joined as always by fellow host Johnny Paulus. Johnny, welcome in on this fateful Friday evening.
Yeah, buddy.
Where you have joined me after what should be a good evening, sir. You had date night tonight.
Yeah, my wife was not subtle when about a week and a half ago she said, Johnny, do you know when our last date was? I said, no. When was our last date? Oh, it was the company holiday party last December. That was our last date. And I'm like, oof. And then I'm like, after she said that, I started thinking about it, and it was just like, I've been gigging so much that any weekend I don't have a gig, my entire thought process is, thank God I don't have a gig. I'm not going to do shit tonight. And that's not fair to my wife. I need to take my wife out. I need to spoil her. I need to show her off. And so we had a great date night tonight. I had it all planned out. I took her to Kittens in Cups, which is a building in Annapolis that has about 20 cats inside of it. And you pay for either a 30-minute session or a 1-hour session. And you go in and you snuggle with the kitties and you play with the kitties and you brush the kitties. And there were big, old, floofy cats and there were little tiny kittens. And it was just cats running around everywhere. And we're both big cat lovers. So that was a lot of fun. And then on your recommendation, we went to Ziki Japanese Steakhouse. And it was bomb. It was definitely one of the better hibachi sort of style steakhouses that I've been to. I loved it.
Yeah, it has a little tiny hint of pinky out to it, more so than some of the other ones. So,
it's I mean, it's one of those things. It was like the price tag was a little bit more, but everything was better quality. So it's like this is fine.
Yeah, their sushi there is amazing too.
Sushi was very good. Yes. I loved their dragon roll. It was lobster and crab stick wrapped in avocado and eel. That was good stuff.
The favorite of Amy's is the volcano roll there. Now, volcano roll is something like you hear it almost every fucking sushi place you go.
Everybody has a volcano, yeah.
But this place is not the norm volcano roll. So basically, each roll comes out. Has a whole scallop on top of it. And then there's this pit in the back. They have a special plate for it. And there's this pit in the back. And it comes out fucking on fire. So you have a volcano. And then your rolls with the seared scallops around it. It's fucking incredible.
I'm getting that next time. Thank you.
It's like a... It's like one of the like deluxe, but it's like that sounds like that'd be crazy expensive. It's not.
Right. It's like $20 or whatever.
Not even. It's like 14.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. I'll have to do that next time.
Yeah,
but no,
that's what we get every time.
I mean, they did the regular song and dance that they always do at the hibachi. Flinging the shrimp in people's mouths. And when it came to the sake bottle, your man had to man up. I had to do it. The other guys at the table.
I do it, but I make it maybe 5 seconds before I'm gagging.
Oh, no, I did like a solid 15 or 20 seconds. I was able to swallow while he's still... I was like, keep it going. Keep it going. That's fine. We're good. Keep it going. Okay, at some point, I'm going to black out, so let's go ahead and stop it there. And then we walked over to Target, and I sobered up for an hour while we walked around. But it was a good date. We had fun.
Fantastic.
I definitely need to sober up though, but we had a lot of fun.
Yeah, as you can see over my shoulder here, I've got the Quarry.
I see the Quarry, yeah,
up on the PS5. So me and Amy sat and played the Quarry for a bit. Now tonight was no date night by any measure, but I was cooking dinner, and we're like a weekend on not eating like complete pieces of shit, which is awesome. That few pounds down where I'm like, okay, we're off to the right start or whatever.
Right.
And so I had, one of the dishes I like to make is Italian sausage and peppers. But usually I put it over like pasta or like on a hoagie roll and just make it a completely terrible thing to ingest. So instead, I decided, you know what? Let's. I still want to do that, but I want it to be like a healthy version. So let's make that, but just skip the pasta because it's just some sausage and peppers and onions. That's not too terrible. I was like, but let's make it even better. And we'll just get like a vegan sausage pack or whatever. So the way I normally do it is I just chop the sausage into little discs, and then I put them in a pan and cook them that way.
Right.
And put in some tomato sauce and the peppers and onions after I've sauteed them, and it's fucking delicious. Okay. Well, I get out the vegan sausage, and I try and cut one into the disc like I would a normal sausage, and it just goes into like this little pad of like sadness squish.
Oh, no.
I think you might call it.
A sadness squish.
Like these sausages, Johnny, these vegan sausages, which I gave up on like vegan and vegetarian a while ago. It's bullshit. Don't do it. Sorry if you're vegan. Not really. But these sausages were more or less the consistency of Play-Doh that someone had just formed into the shape of a sausage, and they're not cased. So like literally you'd cut it and just.
So you can't even slice it really. It's just.
Well, I put the knife into it and it did that. And I'm standing there. I just kind of have this look of horror on my face because I've got 6 of these and I've got to try and figure out how to slice. And so I just look at Amy and go, this isn't going to work. Just take the whole thing, dump it in the trash can. And she's like, what are you doing? What are you doing? Where's dinner? Where are you going? And I'm just walking to the door. I'm like, I'll be right back. Within 5 minutes, I'm in the grocery store. In another 5 minutes, I'm back. I've got a pack of just normal Italian sausages.
Just sausage. Yes, there you go.
I'm like, you know what? I don't think it's going to be that bad if we just have the sausage. So it turned out fantastic. So I'm delighted.
Hell yeah.
But yeah, so big loss tonight for vegan sadness Play-Doh noodles. Ugh.
You know, that's my biggest like anti-vegan thing is the fact that like everyone is just eating processed foods. Like crazy processed foods. Like, oh, but it's this and that, and then this chemical and that, and then here's the dye to make it look like it's kind of meat. And it's like, that's just what you're eating on a regular basis. Like,
yeah, it was fucking disgusting.
I realize that like sausage and bacon are not the best, healthiest things for you, but if you have them occasionally and you cook them correctly, pretty fucking good. Just saying.
Yeah, just like, don't drink a 12-pack of Mountain Dew and then eat a Big Mac with fucking fried. Watch your calories, drink lots of water and tea.
Yep.
And keep away from the preservatives, and you'll be fine. On that health advisory, ladies and gentlemen, welcome in to episode 78 of the Power Gamer podcast. We hope you enjoyed the 2 episodes you got last week. Johnny, did you get a chance to check out any snippets of Mikaran's guest appearance?
I have not yet. I still have to watch it. I am looking forward to watching it.
I can actually say for it being a spoiler cast, it doesn't really spoil too much about that game.
Okay. Well, that's good. That's kind of why I've avoided it, because I am planning on playing that game this year.
Yeah, you need to, for sure.
I know. I do.
A GOTY conversation, because that one's definitely in the top 10. But yeah, just steer away from the part where we discuss the end. The rest of it's just talking about the different characters in the game, fairly in depth. But it's actually stuff that if you listen to, you might enjoy the game better, because the game doesn't do as good a job explaining itself.
Okay.
As me and Mickey did. So
okay, great.
You'll have a much better overview of the characters for sure. So maybe play through like the first sequence and then go, All right. And you could almost listen to the whole thing after that. Just skip the part where we talk about the ending.
Got it.
But no, she was awesome. She did great. I think I'm going to have her back to discuss the Quarry when I finish that. So yeah, it was really good stuff. So huge thanks to Mikaran for doing our second episode of Extra Life, and we look forward to doing more with you in the future for sure. So I digress. This is episode 78 of your regularly scheduled programming, where as usual, we're going to kick off this evening by first discussing the games that we've played this week. Johnny, I think I'll get us started this week.
Okay.
I'm going to run in reverse order from what I have up here. So first and foremost, I bought something, and it's changed my life. So as most of you probably know, or if you're new here, you don't know, I am an avid retro game collector. Big time into that. I have a huge physical collection just off to where you can't see. If you're watching on YouTube, of course. If you're in audio land listening to this podcast, just imagine a library of, God,
a stupid shelf of retro video games.
Floor to ceiling, 3 Billy IKEA bookcases. Where
it is a stupid shelf of video games.
3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 shelves apiece. Stuff full. One thing that always irked me in my collection is my N64 games. And then Nintendo 64 is one of my favorite consoles of all. But what's horrible about the Nintendo 64 is if you're looking at a Nintendo 64 game, there's the label on the front, there's a sticker on the back, and then on the spine, there's nothing.
Nada.
Nothing. And so if you stick all of your games on a shelf, right, you can't see the front sticker. So there's no way to tell what game is which, other than, of course, relatively taking a guess from me keeping them in alphabetical order. Oh, wait. Internet. We've solved this problem. Behold.
Oh, shit.
End labels for the N64. So I bought this pack off eBay of end labels, right? And it has every single game for the Nintendo 64.
That's really cool.
It's like $20. So I put it on all of my games, and then I realized a problem is now I basically have a sticker book reminding me of which games I don't own yet.
Oh no, I know. I had the same thought process. I was like, that just means that when you're scrounging around on Facebook Marketplace, you're gonna look at the sticker and be like, oh, you know what? I don't have Superman 64, the worst video game of all time. I need to add that to my collection.
You basically, you're right there. Oh yeah, Carmageddon 64. Oh. How have I gone?
How have I made it through life without owning that game?
Or where's another good one in here? Oh wait, there's some really bad one. Oh yeah, Load Runner 3D.
Dude, I feel like N64 of all the consoles where every game release for that console is either absolute fucking diesel fire classic world class like Mount Rushmore shit or is fucking garbage. Like I remember the Hulk game on N64 was fucking put a gun in my head. There's so many bad N64 games, and now that you have a sticker book, you're going to collect all of them.
Rat Attack. That one's for Allie. Yeah. Rats. I completely forgot about the Batman Beyond game, which is fucking awesome.
That was awesome. That's a good one.
So, but that being said, now that I can actually see what my games are, yeah, I played a bunch of my favorite racing games. on the N64, which there are quite a few. So I played World Drivers Championship, which I think is the best racing game on that system. F1, which is really cool. F1 World Championship, which is the 1997 season. What's cool with that game, and I wish every racing game did this, they have a 1997 mode. And what that means is when you play the races, everything that actually happened in the real life race happens in the race.
Like crashes and everything?
Yes.
Wow, that's super cool.
And it's the only game I know that ever did anything like that. So that's awesome. 1997, of course, is the year that Jacques Villeneuve won the F1 World Championship. So a little trivia there for you if you weren't familiar. And Mika Hakkinen, of course, went on to win the next 2 years, and that was the year after Damon Hill won, and then Michael Schumacher won from 2000 to 2004. So anyway, really cool. Having fun playing some N64 racing games. I even got down my N64 wheel and pedal because, of course, I have that too. Also, in my retro game world, I am a proud owner of something that is highly coveted in the gaming world right now, especially for us retro guys, and that is this.
I want one.
This is the Analog Pocket, which, as you can see on the little screen there, it's booting up the game that I've been playing on it nonstop, which is Zelda, Oracle of Ages. And it's so good. Not a whole lot to say about that. If you haven't played Zelda Oracle of Ages, either grab a copy and dig up your old Game Boy or find it on an emulator or something. But
emulate that bitch.
Please play it. Continuing my racing madness, over on Xbox, I just noticed that they had added Wreckfest, which I guess they added somewhat recently, which is a game I always enjoyed playing over on PC. So I downloaded it and, beat the first championship on Wreckfest. That game's still golden. Johnny, I'm not sure if you ever played that, but that's...
I've touched it. I haven't played anything more than 20, 30 minutes of it.
If you download that one and put your boys in front of it, what's better than a game where the goal is to actually wreck the other cars? Me and Grumpy finally got started on Halo 5. And oh my God, it looks so good. And it's so nice to finally have a Halo game. We've been doing a full playthrough of the entire series for those not keeping up. It's so good to have something that has the modern control layout just baked into the game. First, we beat the first 2 missions at this point, and my main feedback is, why is Infinite not more like this? This game's like watching a damn movie. It's great. So
never played 5. That's one of the main ones that I skipped.
Really enjoying it so far. All right. The big beast I've been playing this week is Sniper Elite 5, which is also on Game Pass. I had not ever played a Sniper Elite game before, and there have been many, considering this is Sniper Elite 5. And I'm really liking it, which I probably isn't too surprising because I'm a big fan of the Hitman games, and this is like Hitman, where you're encouraged to snipe things.
Sounds like that would be right up your alley, yeah.
Yeah, no, it's fucking great. So graphically, this game is a 10. It's absolutely beautiful graphically. It's really beautiful graphically. Runs super smooth on the Xbox Series X. So would say that, this one's probably worth playing. I have it disabled where people can't invade and try and snipe me because I'm just trying to have fun and beat the campaign. So don't judge me. Obviously, behind us, the Quarry. I've been playing that. Not much to say on that game because I think everything you say in that game would be a massive spoiler potentially for someone who hasn't played it. But
Well, so I mean, I guess my question would be, with the quality level of Until Dawn, is this a step above that, or is this
graphically? It's a huge step forward.
Yeah, no, graphically I can tell that, but I mean, like content wise, are you like?
Oh,
I know you're still early in.
I mean to point that out because I'll include things like House of Ash in this conversation. House of Ash was nice graphically, as a step up from the other Dark Pictures anthology games, Band of Badan, Little Hope, etc. But this is like a leap past that. This game is just fucking gorgeous.
Okay.
Is it on par with Until Dawn? I'm 2 chapters in, but I would say yeah. So far.
Okay.
It almost feels ridiculously similar. So we'll see how it's different.
That's not a bad thing.
No, it's so far the setup's good. The Quarry leans into cliches, and it does so in a good way. So I haven't gotten to the big bad or the scary yet, so that's still coming. And finally, the reason why I wanted to do this in this order is I finally come to the game that I beat this week, and it's one I've been meaning to get off my list for a while, and that is Dying Light 2. So a brand new game came out this year. I really enjoyed my time with the first game, which I played earlier this year. I played it on PC. Love the game. My main gripe with one was that the end boss was a quick time event, which felt really weird.
That,
yeah. But otherwise, I thought the game was great. Dying Light 2 is also, I kind of have those kind of like mixed bag feelings on it, but I would say overall the vibe is good. The combat in the game feels really great. The shooting in the game feels really great with the arrows. There's no actual guns, which is very different because in Dying Light, the first one, there was actual guns. No actual guns in this. The world is definitely a little bit more fledged out in terms of the different factions that are in the city. The moving mechanics feel tighter, which is great. They added a grappling hook and a glider, which is fucking kick-ass. So the main draw of Dying Light, ironically, is just moving around the world of Dying Light. And so this one does much better what the first game already did well. So it's a definite step forward in terms of executing what the game does best.
It's if Mirror's Edge was an open world game.
And Dying Light 2 is a lot more vertical than the first Dying Light was. First Dying Light, it was all a bunch of low setting buildings. But Dying Light 2, it's like fucking skyscrapers and shit. So
cool.
It's pretty awesome. My only real gripe with the game is some of the acting is like serious overacting. Assassin's Creed Odyssey suffered the same problem, where it felt like a 10-year-old child is writing the script that doesn't have mommy censoring their potty mouth. It's just like every other word is fuck, and you as an adult sitting there, it's like I don't have little children running around the house, right. So like my complaint of that doesn't come there. It's just like nobody actually talks like that.
Yeah,
everybody's talking like they're an action star written by a 10-year-old, basically. Like that's the best way I can put it.
That's a pretty common trope in the mature genre of video games.
How do these people get writing jobs?
I feel like the problem is I feel like there's someone somewhere in the development team that goes, well, but Grand Theft Auto has 1,576 F-bombs. So, I mean, we got to have at least 1,200. That's all I can figure, because some of these games, you're right, the dialogue is like, what the fuck are you doing? Are you fucking kidding me? This is fucking ridiculous. There's no fucking way.
What the fuck are you fucking doing, you fuck?
Like my favorite lyric from the band Nothing Face. And I quote, "Fuck you, fucker, fucking fuck." It's one of my favorite music lyrics. Very, very poetic. Fuck you, fucker, fucking fuck.
Yeah, so it basically just sounded like I was listening to a script written by 2006 Fred Durst. So that was problematic. Rosario Dawson's in the game, which is cool. And she's very much just herself, which is okay. But I don't know. When people would shut up and just like not talk, that was when the game was the best. So don't come for the parkour and everything, but don't stick around for the story, so to speak.
Right. That's a bummer.
The ending,
but still, the game looks fun.
The very ending is good, and the end boss fight was not a QuickTime event.
Hey, so they one up there.
Yeah, the final level, which is called X13, it's like fucking kick-ass name for a last level, was awesome. So there's some really bright moments in it. So like overall, like how does it make me feel? Like if I have to spit a number out, I keep saying I'm like, well, it kind of feels like a 7.2. Like that, it's definitely playable, and it's definitely one like you should play if you're looking for something to play. But it's not like one you should like stop whatever you're doing and play. And it's not one where like you should go out of your way to play it. Like I wouldn't say go buy a console to play this game. But like, yeah, if you're like, I want to play a cool game and I'm out of shit to play, you should absolutely play Dying Light 2. Yeah. Or if you just want to see the sequel to the first game. So, Johnny, that wraps up what I've been playing this week. What about you, sir?
I rolled credits on 2 games this week.
What?
Red Dead Redemption 2 down. I said it last week, and I'm going to reiterate this phrase. Arthur Morgan is the single best realized protagonist in a video game ever. I think his story, his character, you feel like you know him and he feels real better than any other character that I can think of in any video game ever. And like there's been a lot of really great ones. But Arthur Morgan is like God tier. It's so good. But I don't want to get too much into spoiler territory, but I think I kind of have to. Is that okay?
I mean, the game's been out for a
while. Okay, game's old as fuck. So Arthur Morgan gives his life so that John Marston can live a better one. That's sort of the crux of the first 3/4 of the game. You're Arthur Morgan, and in the very beginning, you save John Marston, and by the end, you've sacrificed yourself and said, "Get out of here, kid. Don't make this a waste. Make it worthwhile. Take care of your family. I got you covered."
Get out of here, kid. You got to go make Red Dead Redemption 1.
That's right. And I loved that arc with Marston. The going to get a loan to get the land for the ranch and then getting a couple of his buddies together to go add to that loan to build the ranch and then winning his wife back and popping the question and getting married and the whole time it's like it reads like a happy ending, but if you've played the first one, it's not a happy ending. And while the credits are playing, there's all these little cut-ins and it's checking in with, well, here's this character, she got married, there she is with her kid. Here's that character, here's this, here's that. And then in one of those shots, it's like a 5-second thing. They show Beecher's Hope, John Marston's ranch, and he's out there tilling the fields or whatever. And you see the 2 Pinkertons with binoculars looking in on him. And you're just like, this is all about to go to shit. But the end of that game, when you've completed everything, you are rewarded with Ranch Simulator. You can go up and you can go take the hay to feed the horse. You can go milk the cows. You can go, feed the chickens and go get the eggs out of their thing. And that's it. That's all there is really left to do in the game. Because I pulled up my map and was like, well, what else is there? And it's like, no, that's the point, is that John Marston is done. Marston is officially done with that life. He has wrapped up every bow. He's tied everything in a knot. He is ready to live a good, honest life. And it's the influence of the Pinkertons and their agenda that pulls him back into the story of Red Dead 1. And as far as prequels go, it was excellently executed. Just beautiful. It does make me wish that this game came out first, because I think the emotional impact of the end of Red Dead Redemption would have hit only that much harder had you already been through the story of Red Dead 2. So this brings us back to
came out in the order they did. Yeah.
It brings us back to the conversation that we've had before, that we desperately need a remastered of the original. And then when that comes out, I envy anyone who gets to play this story beginning to end, starting with Red Dead 2 into Red Dead 1, because you are in for a major emotional gut punch all over the place. But loved this game, masterpiece. 10 out of 10. It's in the conversation for Mount Rushmore. It's really, 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 really fucking good.
Yeah.
Next up, I rolled credits on Neon White, everyone's favorite puzzle platformer speedrunner dating sim. It's a fucking weird game, and it's an indie game, and it's a very small team, and I really had a lot of fun with it. And most of the worlds are divvied up into like groups of like 10 or 12 levels. So it's like, all right, let me start this mission. And then it's like all these short levels, one after the other. And you're trying to get through them as fast as you can. And when you're done, you get, silver or gold or diamond. We've all played games that work this way. But one of the things I really liked with Neon White is as you got later into the game, you feel it start taking the reins off and throwing you curveballs and going, okay, you think you're good at this game. You think you've got the hang of it. We're going to throw a major curveball at you here, and you've got to figure it out, adapt, get through it, whatever. But anybody who enjoys indie games, enjoys anime sort of dating sim, cinematic-y sort of games, it's a very there's a dialogue heavy game. The story's interesting. The story reminded me a lot of The World Ends With You, I think is what it's called. It's another anime-styled JRPG. Reminded me of the art style, reminded me of the story of that. But I really enjoyed it. It's a game you can scoop for, I don't know, $20-$30 for the price point that it's at. I think it's a no-brainer. I would say... heavy caution here. If you're looking to play it on the Switch, I wish you luck, my friend. That this is a extremely high-paced, like precision game. You've got to be like on the money, boom, 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 flipping 180s and hitting that thing to get it in time. And there's a lot of that. And I cannot imagine playing that game on anything other than mouse and keyboard at 60 frames plus on a PC. I cannot imagine playing that game on Switch at 30 frames a second. I can't. I can't imagine what that's like. Haven't tried it personally, but I can tell you my experience in higher paced first person shooters, I can't do 30 frames. So, but I would say if you're a PC gamer and that sounds like something that you'd be interested in, throw it on your Steam wish list, wait till it's on sale. If you can scoop it for $10 or $15, that's even more of a no-brainer. But I enjoyed my time with it. It's a recommend. I thought it was a lot of fun. Next up, I started back up into Alan Wake Remastered.
Yeah.
I'm still pretty underwhelmed with the presentation of the remaster. However,
Nothing about what I've watched from your streaming it has made me go, man, I really need to go play that.
It's the story, the same as the first one. It's the story. What makes Alan Wake work and why it's a great game is, excuse me.
Oh God, one more and he blows up people.
No, I think we're good.
No exploding Johnny.
No explaining, Johnny. No, the thing that makes Alan Wake work is the story, and that as you're exploring around, you're finding these manuscript pages, and as you get further in, it starts to sink in that the story that Alan Wake is writing is what he's living. So you'll get a page in a book that'll describe the first time he met the FBI agents, or he finally got out of the woods and then he heard the roar of a chainsaw. And then 20 fucking minutes later, you're like, cool, I'm finally out of the woods. And you hear a chainsaw fire up. So there's this weird dichotomy of the writer creating the story, living the story that he's writing. That it's a very cool, very meta sort of story. The gameplay has never been what makes Alan Wake tick. It is the story that sucks you in and is very, very good. But no, I'm having fun with it just like I did the first time. I've always been a big fan of Remedy. I like everything they've ever done, the Max Payne games and Control and Quantum Break, and they're awesome at what they do. And Alan Wake's one of them. And lastly, I played one more session of Pathfinder Wrath of the Righteous. It's still dope. It's still a great CRPG. I still have no fucking idea what I'm doing. When I look at the skill trees, when I look at the amount of shit that I can do and the shit that I can add, and it is a complicated game. And the fact that I've never played that tabletop RPG, I'm sure is a detriment to my experience. So I'm feeling that grind a little bit of like having to Google a skill tree to figure out what the fuck I'm supposed to do. Not the funnest experience. But I'm still really enjoying the game. It's written very well. The combat's very fun, and I'm still sucked in, so I'm having fun. That's what I played this week. 2 down and 2 that I'm still working on.
And that wraps up everything that me and Johnny Paulus have been playing this week. So that brings us to a talking point, ladies and gentlemen. So it's kind of a light news week, which is good. There's some stuff going on, but I don't know. Nothing you need to hear about here.
No, not really. No,
it's a little dumb shit. So, instead, I figured, well, you know what? Now would be a great time to pause and take a look at one of the most heated questions in gaming. That's right. It's time to talk about the Xbox and the PlayStation together. We're a little bit more than halfway through. It's August now, 2022. So I think it's time for us to ask that question of ourselves. With Microsoft and Sony having the 2 newest consoles on the block. Sorry, Nintendo, you're kind of out of this conversation. And they've been slugging it out all year. Which of those 2 is the must-have system? If you could only pick one at this point, which would it be? So, Johnny, the Xbox and the PlayStation, of course, slightly different machines, certainly mechanically, but overall, just before we really get into the nitty gritty here, I think you and I are both in the same boat where we both own each. Yes.
Yep.
You've got both.
Yep.
No, I actually have a Series S and a Series X.
I do not have an S. I just have the X.
And then I also have my disc version of the PS5.
As do I. Yep.
And it doesn't take the oldest crowd here to recall, but back when the first Xbox came out, it was blighted with problems. And the red ring of death became almost a comical matter. Hopefully, everyone who bought the original Xbox bought warranties on that shit, because if you were like myself, I went through 7 of them before I got one that was stable.
Oh my God. I went through 1.
Joke. No joke, 7.
I did torch 1, but not 7. That's rough.
I had the worst luck of all. And I still have number 7. It's still kicking. But that being said, thankfully, Microsoft has seemed to have rectified their ways of the past, and really haven't had any issues with their Xbox hardware since its release. Now, on the other side of the coin, Sony has had a few issues with their hardware. Namely, when the PS5 first launched, there was a bit of a bad batch that came out that sort of inexplicably would not work correctly. That seems to have passed by. But then there was also an early batch of the DualSense controllers that seemed to have drifting issues that there was a big stink about.
Yep.
So fast forward to August 6th, 2022. And Johnny, is there really anything performance-wise that's still on the table between these two systems left to talk about, or are things pretty well ironed out in this generation?
I mean, hardware-wise, they're very, very similar. I will say, I think the design of the Series X, just the way that it's put together inside of the box, how the shielding is done, how the heat sinks are and stuff. Because I've watched teardowns of both of the consoles. And I will say the Series X looks like it's really built to last. It's a full-blown PC. I mean, that's just what it is. It's built like a PC. The PlayStation 5 is still very much still built like a console. There's a lot of shit in weird places and stuff like that. But no, I mean, horsepower to horsepower, performance to performance. I mean, I've seen Forza Horizon 5, in 4K, and I've seen Horizon Zero Dawn in 4K, and they both look awesome. I don't think there's really a clear winner in this. I will say, graphically, I still think that Ratchet and Clank is probably the best looking video game that I've ever seen in my life. Like, as far as fidelity, we've been talking about looks like a Pixar game for a long time, and the Ratchet and Clank game is the first one that you could just make it a movie, and that's how good it looks. Does that mean that it's more powerful than the Xbox? I don't think so.
Well, if we're getting into hardware specs, I think Sony has a clear leg up, honestly. The drive that Sony is utilizing is clearly an advantage that system has over Xbox. I
think they both have Gen 4 SSDs. I can double check that.
You should. Because
I'll double check it.
Yeah, I'm fairly positive that the one of the biggest leg ups for Sony is its ability to load things almost instantaneously. Another thing, like in the teardown of it, Sony is employing some rather weird and high tech cooling strategies, but it actually kind of hampers the future repairability of the system because the thermal paste that they use is, I believe, a ceramic based thermal paste that you have to treat basically like it's solder. So, but one wrong move with that, and you have it dry on a circuit that shouldn't, and you've basically fucking killed your whole system. So,
yeah.
little strange disadvantage there in terms of.
So I did Google it. The Series X does have high speed SSD, but the overall throughput PS5 is almost double. So you were right.
Yes, of course I am.
All right, I'll give you the satisfaction. You were right. I was wrong.
Well, it's a fool's errand to go up against me on a hardware spec, isn't it?
Okay.
When it's a console, if it's a PC, then I yield.
Okay. Fair enough.
So moving forward, that feels nice. We're 45 minutes in, and Johnny Paulus, for the first time in a long time, has told me I was right about something.
It's been a minute.
It sure has, Johnny Paulus. So moving forward, I would say slight leg up to Sony in terms of performance, but nothing soul crushing in that aspect.
No, and that's the thing when we're talking. The Xbox Series X can read compressed data at 2.5 gigabytes a second versus 4.8 gigabytes a second. What game is drawing more than 2.5 gigabytes a second?
The one you mentioned.
I don't think there's a whole lot of I don't think there's a lot of games that are really using that storage speed to that point. So I'm just saying, in the grand scheme of things, when we're comparing whatever the next Assassin's Creed on PlayStation 5 versus Xbox Series X, are you going to have a different experience? The load time on Xbox might be 10 seconds longer or 5 seconds longer. That's probably about it.
Well, what's interesting is a lot of devs have pointed to that Sony hard drive as the reason why they won't develop for PS4 anymore. So like that one little difference is thankfully killing off the last generation, so we don't have to keep seeing all these cross-generational releases. Speaking of generational releases, console exclusives, that's been a really weird topic in 2022.
Yeah.
Especially Sony's not guarded from that sentiment, but certainly Xbox is. There's some things to talk about here with Xbox and console exclusives. So let's knock out Sony first. They've done a decent job with it. Obviously, they have the most out at this point. The big ones for Xbox are still really Forza Horizon 5. Well, I didn't say Horza. And Halo Infinite. But meanwhile, over on PlayStation, we've had Gran Turismo 7. We've had Ratchet & Clank. We've had Demon's Souls. We've had Horizon Forbidden West.
Returnal.
I mean, on and on and on. You got the new God of War coming out soon. So Stray, Ghostwire Tokyo, which were shared with PC, but they're not on Xbox. So there's just a lot more going on PlayStation with console exclusives, but that's sort of par for the course. So it's not really anything new to talk about. The only things really to talk about with Sony is that some of their bigger console exclusives did get pushed back. You know, we'd been waiting for Forspoken, and that kept getting pushed, to May. Then it got pushed to October, and now it's been pushed to next year. So they haven't been completely safe from it. We think we're getting God of War this year, save something happens at the last minute.
Yeah.
Took forever to get that announcement.
And Last of Us Remastered.
Yep, Last of Us Part 1.
Part 1 Remastered, yep.
Is what it's called. And that'll be out September 2nd, so less than a month. Can't wait for that. Over on the Xbox side of things, it's not doing so great with console exclusives. Johnny, what was the last real console exclusive that we had on the Xbox? We were talking about this before the show. You nailed it.
With Turbo Golf Racing?
It would be Halo Infinite.
Yeah.
We're not talking day one Game Pass releases. We're talking console exclusives. Big difference. So the last console exclusive, the last thing that you could only play if you were bought into the Xbox ecosystem, was Halo Infinite. That was last year. So if console exclusives, I guess, have anything to do with your buying decision, that makes things a little bit tricky, doesn't it?
Yeah, I mean, you look at the list of console exclusives. I mean, they do have Hellblade 2 as a console exclusive.
It's not out yet.
It's not out yet. No, I know. But I'm saying, like, this year, As Dusk Falls just came out. That is a console exclusive.
The game's fucking terrible.
Is it? I haven't played it. Scorn is going to be a console exclusive. That comes out soon. That comes out in a week or two, I think.
It comes out in October.
No, I mean, if we're doing like who won this round for this year versus another year, clearly Sony took the W here. But this is a big fucking but. When you look at the horizon of all of the purchases that Microsoft has made, they're just loading cannonballs into that cannon. And I know that they've said we're not going to make Call of Duty Xbox exclusive. Give it a few years.
Well, they can't even make that decision yet.
We're not going to make Elder Scrolls console exclusive. Give it a few years.
They also can't make that decision yet. Why is that?
Because they're still licensing, I'm sure. They still
because they don't own,
right?
You know, like they don't own the deals. The deals aren't done. Like particularly when it comes to Call of Duty, is what I'm saying. Is the deal's not done? That could just blow up in their face. Because like what's going on with the whole Call of Duty thing right now? This was the only thing like kind of in the news this week, which was interesting. Is there's this weird game going on with Microsoft and the court systems. I think they had a hearing in Brazil this past week, and it's Sony's in the courtroom going, Call of Duty is very important. Call of Duty can, on its own, dictate whether or not somebody buys your console. And I think that's true.
I agree, yeah.
Meanwhile, Microsoft is trying to downplay and go, they literally, quote, word for word, in court, saying, oh, it's not that important. No. Call of Duty? No.
What in reality, like every other Call of Duty release is the single biggest moneymaker in entertainment history of all time. Like they will beat Endgame in a week. Like it's nothing.
Well, and not to mention, they're paying how much for Activision, Johnny? How much are they paying?
I don't. You remember? I know. I don't remember the number.
It begins with a 7.
7 point something billion dollars, which for Call of Duty alone is a steal.
So
I'm just saying, like Call of Duty on a bad day is going to print you $1 billion. No,
I'm just Johnny. Hang on. $70 billion.
Yeah.
70.
Not 70. That's a lot of money.
That's
more than what Disney paid for all of Fox.
That's 10 Bethesdas. 10. That was 7 billion. 70 billion. And they're trying to make the case that what are you really getting when you buy Activision? What are you getting? What have they put out? What has Activision put out lately? Besides Call of Duty?
Not a whole lot.
So if Call of Duty is worth $70 billion, and Sony's in there
clearly
talking,
worth something,
and they're like, no, it's not that important. There's no way. I don't think there's any way, no way that this deal gets done. I don't think so.
Really? You think it's going to fall through?
I think it'll get busted up.
Okay. You heard it here first, listeners. There's another big Power Gamer podcast.
I'm not the only person saying that.
Yeah.
It doesn't seem like it's not because Microsoft can't afford it. Microsoft has the most fuck you money on the planet.
Yeah.
It's because it's a very obvious poor move economically. You have laws in place to protect companies from shitting on smaller companies. And I mean, Sony is way smaller than Microsoft. Yeah. I know they're huge to us, like in the gaming realm, but Microsoft is fucking massive.
Yeah. Oh yeah. No, dollars to dollars. There's no comparison.
So Sony isn't a speck of fart on a napkin behind fucking Microsoft in terms of the size of the company.
Yep.
So yeah. And you know what? If it doesn't go through, I think that's fine. Fuck them. I don't like these people. What? Bobby Kotick gets another fucking bonus? Fuck that guy.
Yep. Agreed.
So, and again, I don't want people to go, well, I got to have Call of Duty, so I guess I just can't buy Sony stuff anymore because I gotta have Call of Duty. Forget Horizon and Days Gone and fucking all these amazing game franchises, Last of Us. God.
Well, I mean, so I mean, just to kind of circle back where we were talking about console exclusives and me talking about Microsoft loading their cannon, even if the Activision thing doesn't happen. Just imagine if the next Elder Scrolls is announced and they say Xbox exclusive.
I think that's fine.
And I think that's going to be that's when we're going to see a firefight between the consoles. Right now in the world of exclusives, Sony's in the big leagues and Microsoft's been playing catch up for an entire 1.5 console generations.
They were supposed to have some come out this year. They pushed back.
Yep.
My most anticipated game, I've said this before on the show, my most anticipated game of 2022 is now my most anticipated game of 2023, which is Starfield.
Yeah.
I think that game looks like it's going to be awesome. So what we just talked about and the future releases as well, which we've kind of killed two birds with one stone here.
Yep.
Does affect our next talking point, our penultimate point, if you will, and that is the services. So at the beginning of 2022, Microsoft was kicking ass and taking names because of Game Pass.
Yep.
And we had many months of discussion about the Project Spartacus deal with PlayStation, which turned into PlayStation Plus Essential, Extra, and Premium.
Yep.
I swear to God, if anybody acts like that shit's complicated, they need to go back to fucking school. The shit is so
I agree.
not complicated.
It's really not that complicated. It's really not.
Like, I see so many people on Twitter like, oh my God, could they have made it any more fucking complicated?
Number one is exactly the way it's always been. Number two adds a whole bunch more PlayStation 4 games. And number three adds a bunch of classic games. That's it.
That's it.
That's it.
It's not hard.
Mystery solved.
Well, like, why do they make it so confusing? It's not confusing.
Dude, there's so many blogs and YouTube videos and everything just fucking crying about
it's like,
how complex this is.
Tell me you're a fucking concrete brick for a brain without telling me you have a concrete brick for a brain. That's so hard. I can't figure it out. It literally tells you on the screen. If you read the screen, it tells you what each one is. It's not hard. But that being said, sorry.
It's okay. But that being said, PlayStation has recovered some ground this year.
Man, their subscription service kicks ass. I signed up for it to get Stray, and I'm like, I'm in. I'm like, man, this is good.
There's a ton of shit to play, man. There's a ton of shit to play.
And it's not that much more when you do the annual.
It's really not. And
they let you buy into the annual. Like if you didn't already get it, which I didn't, they let me buy into it prorated. So it's like $15 and you get it for the rest of the year. Like, okay, well, fuck that. Yes.
Yeah.
Let's go.
I mean, I think the two biggest differences between the PlayStation 5 and the Xbox Series X really comes down to console exclusives and the subscription services. And although Sony has recovered a lot of ground, I still think the two services are very different. Xbox is still going
a little different, yeah.
Xbox is going really hard on the day one release. There's a ton of games that the day they come out, they're out on the console. We did see that with Stray, so maybe we're going to see more of that on the Sony side of things.
Quality over quantity, yes.
Quality over quantity. But I would say that there's a lot more indie goodness on Game Pass. There is a lot more. If you're into side scroller, Metroidvania, roguelike, old school adventure games, pixel art, indie games, Game Pass, you're fucking buried in them. But if you're more of a Sony fanboy and you're like, man, I want to play every Devil May Cry, I want to play every whatever Ninja Gaiden, I want to play every, like, they're all there. They're all that. You could sit and play. There's like 8 or 9 Final Fantasy games on.
You couldn't do it in a year. Like for what it cost, you can get your value out of that thing in a month.
Yep. I mean, they're both really good services, but I would argue that they are still a little different. And I think one of the big things with the Xbox, again, is the day one release. If I were a teenager who could not afford to go into the GameStop and buy a $60 game, but I could afford the $15 a month, and I know that the day that this big release comes out, I'm going to have it on the I'm going to have Starfield the day it comes out. I own it on well, I don't own it, but I can play it on Game Pass.
And play it until they yank it off. That's right.
Play it until they yank it off. But I mean, that is something that Xbox can, that's a feather that Xbox can put in their cap that Sony cannot, because we all know God of War Ragnarok is going to be $69.99, and that's okay, because you know what? Mike and I are going to be in line on day one buying God of War Ragnarok for $69.99 happily. But that is a big difference between the two consoles. If I'm somebody that cannot afford to do that, or would rather just pay the subscription, and I've had a long week at work and I'm not a serious hardcore gamer, but I just want to be able to turn on my console and see what's there. There's a lot to play on both consoles, but with Xbox, I will say that the outpouring of more games is more consistent. Like, I feel like they add games to Game Pass like a couple times a week. I mean, it's like every 3-4 days there's 2 or 3 games added, there's 3-4 games added, there's 4 or 5 it's constant. Whereas Sony is kind of, they're still very much on the, okay, this month we're adding this.
Yes,
they're both excellent services, though. They both kick ass, and I think as gamers, we're lucky that we're back to where we used to be. I remember how proud I was the first generation that I owned all 3. I had the GameCube, I had the whatever PlayStation 2, and I had the 360, and I had the whole generation for that, right? And it was like that for several years until the Xbox One came out. And it was just like, there's nothing on here that I feel like I have to play. I can skip Gears of War and Halo and Sunset Overdrive. I can skip those, you know. But we're now at a point where if you're a gamer and you really enjoy gaming and you like console gaming and you like PC gaming, and there's a reason to own both of these consoles. And I think you know, killing yourself in the Ford versus Chevy version of the video game world of Sony's better than Xbox or Xbox is better. They both kick fucking ass. I mean, these two consoles are great. You know, it is fun to discuss the differences between them, but I think we're in a golden age of gaming right now. They're all awesome. I mean, the Switch is fucking awesome. The PlayStation 5 is great. The Xbox Series X is amazing. They're all great consoles.
All right. So real quick, bringing you back.
Reel me in.
Bringing you back. One of the things that I think is problematic for Xbox right now is something that's supposed to be one of their advantages, and something you spoke at length about, and that is the day one releases. Yeah. It's fine and great to get Power Wash Simulator on day one. That's wonderful. That being said, when I look at Game Pass and my only Microsoft exclusive games that I've received so far are Forza Horizon 5 and Halo Infinite. I don't feel like they're really delivering on the promise that they made.
Yeah.
And it's great that they're acquiring lots of new studios, and it bodes well for the future.
Yeah.
However, to have gone an entire year with Game Pass and to not have a Microsoft exclusive landing there as a day one exclusive or just otherwise, but we're speaking about the service now. And the big promise of the service is the day one exclusives. That's kind of a fucked up problem that they're going to need to like rectify.
Yeah.
Because that's kind of like when you pay $15 a month for a service, right? You kind of expect to get something like that. I mean, we're looking at this from a cost standpoint, right?
Yeah, totally. No,
$180 a year,
right,
for Game Pass Ultimate, right? Versus $119 if you do the biggest, baddest PlayStation one, where you get everything ever. I know that the potential is there, but I don't give out banana stickers for potential. They kind of shit the bed this year.
I mean, you're right there. The other advantage, at least for someone like me, is that I pay that one subscription and I have PC games along with Xbox games. I do not get that on Sony. I can stream a whole bunch of PlayStation games to my computer, but I can tell you the experience is not great.
But okay, as a whole, I understand for your situation that's great, but most people that are being drawn to Xbox, like you said, who's the guy that's buying the Xbox? It's the guy that doesn't have the money for the XYZ. It's not normally the guy that has a fucking RTX 3080 sitting on his desk. It's just not. It's somebody that's spending $299 on a Series S.
Yeah, no, I mean, I fully see your point there, and I do agree it is concerning that we're here in August and Microsoft doesn't have a whole lot to show.
Well, there's nothing to show. Nothing's happening this year. Everything got pushed into 2023. So, I mean, for an entire year, they shit the bed, and I think that's important to say. You know,
on the other side of that coin is, in the long run, is it fiscally sustainable for Microsoft to continually give away their brand new game that they could put on a shelf, they could put on a digital store, and they could say, yeah, it's $60. It's fucking Starfield. Shut up and give us your money.
Well, they're trying to play catch up to Sony.
They're trying to play catch up to Sony, but the problem is that now that they've given in, now that they've opened that Pandora's box, can they ever close it?
You sound like me. This is the argument I've made to you a few times.
No, I mean, and that's the thing is that we've had this conversation several times. I still respect the absolute shit out of Sony for going, yeah, no, Game Pass is a great value. That's fine. We're still going to charge our customers $70 for God of War Ragnarok because we know our customers are going to pay $70 for God of War Ragnarok. Yeah. What I worry about is Microsoft in 2026 going, here we go, console exclusive. We've got the new whatever. Call of Duty, if that deal goes through, or the Overwatch 3, or whatever this big console exclusive is. And it's the one that they go, we're not going to do day one release. We're done doing day one release. This one is not included in Game Pass. The game is $59.99. What is the Xbox community that has been used to getting just shovel fed their games for whatever the 15 or 20 bucks a month, every month, month in, month out? What is their reaction going to be to, we're not doing a day one release on this. The game's $60. We'll see you at GameStop or we'll see you on our online store.
You know what that is, Johnny? That's like Hyundai putting fucking leather seats in an SUV. It's like people didn't go to Hyundai for fucking leather seats. They went to Hyundai because doesn't cost a lot, fucking runs forever. And, you know, that's probably the best example I can give because it's a company that's trying to like break into the premium car market. You know what I mean? It's like nobody wants that shit. Somebody wants to come buy a Hyundai. They want a car that has a 100,000-mile warranty that they can run into the fucking dirt and not have to pay a fortune for. You know, there's a market for that that's diminishing. We're not going to get into cars, but so Microsoft has its thumb on a market that didn't exist. There was no demand for, and they created and undercut themselves with their Game Pass. So, yeah, you're correct. It'll be interesting to see. But one of the main things I want to point out was one of the big shining promises of Game Pass that everybody brings up whenever, you know, the PlayStation Plus Game Pass conversation comes up is the day one releases. And it's just fun to remind people sometimes, you know, not you, but other folks, that there hasn't been any that belong to Microsoft. Yay, you got Power Wash Simulator day one. Well, sorry, there's no Starfield or anything else. Meanwhile, Sony's dropping first party a lot. The last thing I'll say, and then we're going to actually just wrap this segment up, is that Microsoft sort of has a history of this. They don't have a history of being very successful with first party stuff. They've mismanaged. They have a history of mismanagement, and so it's concerning. But hopefully that changes. So we've gone over most things. One thing I did kind of want to bring up is, and this I think gets overlooked a lot. It's going to be kind of my last feather in the cap for Sony. Is PlayStation VR, and we have PSVR 2 coming out soon. That is something that PlayStation is very passionate about. I thought the PlayStation VR was excellent. I think everyone that gets their hands on one will be blown away by the thing. And PSVR 2 looks fucking crazy awesome. And I kind of think it's going to have a bigger impact on this generation than people are giving it credit for.
I fully
and Microsoft has no answer for it.
No, I fully agree. I mean, let's face it, the Oculus Quest is a hit. They're moving a lot of those units. And as soon as they announced that there was going to be a price increase for it, they ran out of stock everywhere and the scalpers are now on it. That doesn't happen when a product's not hot. So Oculus Quests are very hot. There are a lot of people that are getting into virtual reality. The Oculus, however, is not a premium experience. It's not a bad experience, but it's a $300 standalone VR set, soon to be a $399 standalone VR set. But spec for spec, this PSVR 2 is going to make that thing look like a fucking toaster.
We have a console exclusive Horizon game launching with this. What sells new systems? Exclusives. I think people aren't paying enough attention to PSVR 2.
No, that's a very good cap, and I didn't even think of that. You're right. That's a feather in the cap. I mean, it's for all these people that are now obsessed with VR. They play their Oculus Quest every day. They're going to put on their buddy's PSVR 2 once for 5 minutes and go, oh my God, I have to go to Best Buy right now. I have to have this. Because it's, dude, y'all, if you're listening, if you're watching on YouTube, you guys do not understand the specs on this PSVR 2 system.
They're insane.
They go toe to toe with the $1,000 fucking PC headsets. This thing is going to be a absolute monster.
And me and Johnny have a bet running.
That I'm going to win. Yes, we do.
Do you remember the bet?
You think the PlayStation VR 2 is going to be no more than $399, and I think you're fucking high.
I think it comes out at $399.
No
the
way.
Dankest, dumbest, craziest headset of all time, and they're going to release it at $399.
No way.
So pack a beer to the loser of this bet, but
Hey, I know we've been arguing on this one for months, and you're going to be wrong, my dude. That bitch is not going to be $399. There's no way.
So
there's
Johnny,
no way you're getting that refresh rate on dual HD. It's not happening, bro.
So Johnny, the question we've discussed, we have talked, we have yacked. It's 2022. We don't own any of these systems. We walk into the game store. We only have enough money for one. And there's an Xbox Series X and a PS5 disc sitting on the shelf.
Do I own any other consoles in this hypothetical situation?
No.
Okay, so I've been out of the video game console world for an extended period of time. I'm like, man, you know what? I used to play my PlayStation 2 a lot.
Your
Maybe
house
it's time I go buy a
to
video
a fucking
game.
crisp. So anything you had is gone. You're still you, but anything you had is gone. There's an Xbox and there's a PlayStation 5. I'm going to let you give the answer for the Power Gamer podcast. Okay.
PS5. 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 It's just if I took a stack, if I grabbed the physical discs of the absolute timeless classic games that PlayStation has released in the last 5 or 6 years, it would be as tall as me. And if I did the same for Xbox, it'd be a pile of games this big. And that's just the fact of the matter. I love both consoles. I'm very glad that I own both consoles. If you can afford to own both consoles, buy them both. They're both awesome. But if you need a console to add to your home and you don't have one in the home and you haven't already played through that big, huge stack of PlayStation games, PS5 all day. No question. It's not even close.
Ladies and gentlemen, there you have it. So our light news week discussion has reached its end, and that is going to bring us here to the end of the show. And we always ladies and gentlemen, that's right. It's time for One Up. I have a very not normal one up this week. So, bass guitar. Johnny, as you've known, I play both stringed variants, but I've always been a bit of a bass first kind of guy. I've been playing a lot of bass guitar lately, man. Tons, hours and hours a day. I've got the bug back. So my one up this week is bass guitar, music therapy, man. It's been good times. Been playing a lot of riffs on the old jazz bass, and yeah, I don't know. I think it might be time for me to get back out there with the old 4-string. So
hell yeah.
My one up this week is bass guitar. Johnny, what's your one up this week?
My one up, I'm extremely late to this party. I just started watching Umbrella Academy on Netflix. Umbrella Academy is based on the Dark Horse comic book written by Gerard Way, the lead singer of My Chemical Romance. And what's interesting about Umbrella Academy is if I had to sum it up, it's the X-Men. If the X-Men had daddy issues, and they all had the same daddy. So it's basically this weird entrepreneurial sort of rich guy in a mansion sort of situation, had a bunch of these children that he fostered and trained and had them gain powers and had this team but he was terrible. Like he was all about the mission. He was all about training them. He was all about the experiments involved. And so it's definitely a little emo because I mean, it's the fucking guy from My Chemical Romance. So like there is that, but, the cast is great. The setup is great. And it feels like the X-Men if they were rejects, which works for me. And I am enjoying it quite a bit. We just finished season 1 and I love when shows wrap up a story, pull the rug out from under you, wrap you up, beat you over the head, drag you into a completely different room in a completely different scenario and go, oh yeah, hi, this is season 2. And you're like, what the fuck is going on? It's one of those shows. And I love that. I love when shows go, cool, season 1 is done. You thought you knew what the show was about. Guess what, motherfucker? We're doing this shit instead. Now it's all about time travel. Whoop-a-doop-a-doop-a-doo. Now we're doing this shit. And that's right. I said whoop-a-doop-a-doop-a-doo. No, I love when shows do this. Preacher did this. At the end of season 1, it was like, yeah, it's a nice little town, right? We blew up the whole fucking town. We're going to the next town. I love when shows do that. So, I'm late to the party. I know season 3 came out recently, and I'm talking about, hey, I just finished season 1. But the show's dope. Check it out. It's on Netflix. Umbrella Academy.
Whoop-a-doop.
Boop-a-doop-a-doop-a-doo, yeah. Mm-hmm. Uh-huh. That's right.
Well, I don't know how I can possibly top that. So
you can't. It's okay.
I guess that means it's time for us to call it a week, Johnny.
Yes, sir.
We will, of course, be back again next week with another great episode of the Power Gamer podcast for you to enjoy. If you're listening to us on YouTube, don't be a dick. Like the video. Subscribe.
Hit that fucking button, Jesus. Just do it.
And if you're listening to us for free out there in podcast land, consider leaving us a nice review on whatever site you're listening to us.
Or tweet us or slide into our DMs or something. Email us.
It helps us tremendously. So until next time, I'm Mike Dawson.
And I'm Johnny Paulus.
Tune in next time. Take care.
Catch y'all flip-flop.